This is Paul Turner, the Immigration Barrister at Imperium Chambers. Please subscribe to my channel and hit the notification button for all up-to-date immigration news. This video has been produced to highlight the ongoing suffering of the Chagossian community, I hope I pronounced that correctly, and the UK government's ongoing failure to rectify what can only be described as a massive historic injustice. You'll see on my left a globe. The Chagossians come from what is the British Indian Overseas Territory, which is to be found here. The good news, which I will come to, is that the House of Lords has recognised this unfairness and rejected Priti Patel's draconian immigration bill in respect of this particular community. If you are from the Chagossian community and are unsure of your immigration status or you want some advice, then do get in touch. I'll be happy to help, but there are some wonderful organisations that seek to keep this matter in the public eye, and it has gained some interest. While it may only affect a small number of people, it goes to the very heart of the UK's government attitude towards immigration and migrants generally. Whether you're a Chagossian, a descendant of a Chagossian, or interested in how the UK government continues to behave appallingly after a historic wrong of some 50 years ago, then please continue to watch. What actually happened was that the Home Office suffered a defeat to the government's plan to scrap the relatives of exiled Chagos Islanders from being entitled to British citizenship. This is fantastic news. The House of Lords backed by 237 votes to 154, a majority of 83, a move that would allow descendants of a person born before 1983 on the Chagos Islands to register as a British Overseas Territory citizen and as a British citizen as a consequence thereof. Arguing the need for the amendment to the bill, Labour peer Lady Lister said it aimed to tackle the injustice faced by descendants of Chagossians who were evicted from their homeland by the British government in order for their supposedly to be made an American base. She said those descendants are now denied the right to register as citizens that they would have had were they still resident in their own homeland. The reason they are denied that right is because they are no longer resident. But the only reason they're no longer resident is because they have been exiled from that homeland by the British government. So in essence, the government has taken people out of the Chagos Islands and then used the fact that they don't live there to deny them citizenship. It's hard to imagine that the same thing would happen were it to be the case for, say, Gibraltar or the Falkland Islands. It seems to be completely unfair that the government can forcibly remove somebody from their homes, not allow them to go back or resettle, and then use this, the fact that they can't go home, to deny them the opportunity of obtaining British citizenship. The Biot and the Chagossian community assert rightly, in my view, that they should, well, firstly be allowed to return home and that plans should be made for them to return home. But if not, that they should be granted British citizenship. And this should not be limited to the few people who fell within the government's very limited policy at the time. As a result of this defeat, the matter will now go back to the House of Commons, and hopefully the government will see sense and adopt this amendment. It's to be remembered that there are no more than possibly 2,000-3,000 Chagossians that will be affected by this, and it will rectify a massive historic wrong. This is to be contrasted with, say, what's happening in Hong Kong, where a vast number of people are allowed to come and live in the United Kingdom, even though they chose to stay in Hong Kong after the handover in 1997. On a personal level, I believe that the UK government should be looking at rectifying this massive historic wrong, and also implementing some form of resettlement or some plan or consideration of resettling people back in the Chagossian Islands. But in the meantime, they should be granted British citizenship. The problem is that some members of the Chagossian community do have the benefit of British citizenship, but others don't, which creates division within families and leaves some people who are only not British because of the British government's actions subject to the hostile environment. As I say, this is it relates to a very few people. It's not going to upset the immigration rules. It's not going to lead to floods of millions and millions of people coming to the United Kingdom. But what it will do is rectify a massive historic wrong. It is simply inequitable for the UK government to evict people from their homeland and then use that eviction as a way of denying them nationality, let alone the ability to return to their own country. This is particularly whilst the Home Office, the government and the UK are talking about the rights for the Ukrainians to defend themselves. In this case, this poor community of not that many people have been shifted from pillar to post and now and face the prospect of being divided in whether some are British and some are not. The simple solution is that those born in the Chagos Islands and their descendants should be recognised as British. The long-term solution should be aiming to resettle people back in the Chagos Islands if they wish to, and the government should facilitate that to rectify, as I say, what is a massive historic wrong. I hope you've enjoyed this video. It, as I say, only reflects or relates to a small number of people, but it does highlight the hostile attitude that this government has towards migrants, even though they are only migrants because of the Home Office's own actions. Thank you very much for watching this video. Please do not hesitate to contact me if I cannot assist you further. Please stay safe during the pandemic. This is Paul Turner, the Immigration Barrister at Imperium Chambers.